Hi, I'm Perry Weinberg, and I'm with the Heritage Committee and with the Communications Committee presenting another episode of our Legacy video interviews with legacy members of Columbia Yacht Club. Today, we're very lucky to be joined by Woody Hansmann. Woody's a longtime member who has had a fantastic input and influence on the ship. And as I look around at things that have been installed and improved on the ship, Woody's initials are on a lot of those items. Hi, Woody, welcome.
Right, thank you. Thank you, Perry.
So I've got about 12 hours of questioning. So you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. So let's start at the beginning. Do you recall when you first discovered Columbia Yacht Club?
Yeah, I had a boat part. I had actually a roommate, and he and I bought a boat in '63, and we put it in the harbor here. And we
Okay.
were way at the south end of the harbor,
Okay.
and the harbor was full at that point in time.
Wow. Well, there was
And
no DuSable Harbor at that time.
there was no DeSable, but this Monroe was just absolutely jammed. And so the actual boat company that sold us the boat arranged for us to have the mooring.
Oh, wow.
So that was back in the days when getting moorings were sort of
Yeah.
easier.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember that.
So,
Yeah.
But then Bill and I sailed from '63 until the late '90s together. As if we had the two families, and we both had kids, and we sailed all over. And we knew that there were two yacht clubs
Sure.
here, and watched as Columbia moved from.
Oh, you saw that from the Florida to the Abbey.
From Florida to the Abbey, yeah.
Okay.
And so, but Bill didn't want to join a yacht club, and I was a little ambivalent about it. And with the families, I enjoyed being together and sailing together. So
We used to go off the dinghies that were on the shoreline.
Yeah.
There used to be dinghies pulled up on the cement.
We had a dinghy along the dinghy line there, and in one big storm, tore our dinghy all up and tore everybody else's dinghies up too. So yeah, so there were lots of good adventures.
So that was a long time in
Yes.
in the harbor.
Yeah.
And then in the early 90s, you took a look over at Columbia.
Well,
Did you
then, and as I mentioned earlier today, in '99, Betty, my wife, and I went to Strictly Sail and talked to the Columbia people, because Bill by that time was no longer sailing,
Okay.
and so the boat was ours essentially, and we decided belonging to a yacht club would be good, and we chose Columbia, and that was a good choice.
Did you happen to come to the new member brunch as a result of that? I'm just curious.
I don't remember.
Okay,
I don't.
I remember when I joined as a result of Strictly Sail, they were offering a new member enticement brunch.
Oh,
So that was
yeah, I don't
probably
remember
years
that.
later. Okay. And of all the clubs you had a choice of,
There's only two to choose from, Chicago
Okay.
or Columbia, because we were in this harbor.
after the Strictly Sail, you were introduced at the show to what Columbia Yacht Club had. Was it Strictly Sail that strictly got you interested in joining Columbia? Was there something
No,
else?
we've been watching the ship as it got moved in and so
Okay.
forth, and it got positioned, and we watched the people on the dock out of Columbia's dock, and it looked like they were having a lot more fun than the people over at Chicago.
So people who know you on this video will understand why I'm coming up with this. So you were in the harbor as the ship was being brought in?
No, we didn't see the ship. I didn't see the ship coming.
Okay, because I can't imagine you sitting in your ship and not wanting to
No, I
give
didn't.
a
No,
hand or something like
we
that.
didn't. We didn't see the ship arrive.
Okay.
And we didn't see the ship get moved over to this side.
Okay,
either.
I know that would have been
Yeah, it
something
would have
you would
been
want to
fun,
dive
right,
into.
yeah.
Certainly. Okay. So you joined in '99,
Right.
26, almost 27 years ago.
Right.
You've had a lot of roles at Columbia Yacht Club.
Yes.
Tell me about some of those roles.
Well, it's interesting because at first, I don't really remember the first year. I remember parking our boat next to George Morrissey's once and meeting the Morrisseys.
Okay.
But I don't remember much else about that first year, except that I went to the January session with the work session.
Oh, the House Committee.
The House Committee's January session.
Okay.
And I fell in love.
That lit the match for you.
That was it. You know, so
Yeah.
I joined the House Committee, you know, and participated in all sorts of events and got to know the House Committee members and the chair and so forth. And we just did all sorts of things together.
As a useless point of information, a dozen years later, when I got involved, you worked with me on the Scarifier. Is that what it's called?
Right.
The Scarifier?
Yes, the Scarifier, right.
On the
rail deck, right.
And that's a machine that you don't want to handle unless you're really tuned in. It's named appropriately, being a Scarifier.
Right, yes.
It beats up the rail deck and strips down the paint to the metal. But we won't go any farther on that.
We had first used that on the bow, too, because when we cleaned the bow up, bow had teak wood that was that deep in it.
Oh, really? Okay.
And it had these spikes, or not spikes, but bolts sticking up that held the wood down.
Yeah.
All right. And the wood was all rotted, and we were starting, and some of the steel was rotted, and we were getting water through to the deck below.
Oh.
And so we needed to do something. And it seemed to me the only thing to do was to strip the wood, get rid of those bolts that were sticking up, and paint it. And that's what we did.
Wow.
And that was a huge task.
I imagine cutting those bolts must have been a real challenge.
Well, cutting the bolts wasn't so bad, but getting the wood off was really a huge problem. And then dealing with all of the stuff that was mounted on them.
So that was maybe the year 2000 or so.
Oh, no, that was, I would guess maybe 2005 or something like that.
And since then, you've been involved every January.
Oh, I've been involved every January since 2000. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that we didn't do the bow in January. We did that probably in the spring.
Okay.
But it took a long time to do.
I would imagine. Yeah, that you don't want to go out there in the snow and ice.
Yeah. Right. No, and it took a long time. And just getting the wood stripped up and getting those bolts cut off.
Yeah. I remember another thing about when we did the rail deck, the epoxy that we had to buy was very expensive and hard to manage. And you kind of came up with a Woody mixture, didn't you? I remember there was the sand and epoxy.
Right,
and
the sand and yeah. So we had. You're right. It was epoxy that we were using to fill it, but you couldn't afford to fill it with just pure epoxy.
Right. Right.
So I came up with a mixture of sand and pebbles that we could
it's holding
mix it
wonderfully.
And that's what we did.
Can you think of any other?
Do you remember what it was like before?
No.
Well, it had asphalt in it, and the asphalt had pushed up, and it would stick up about that high.
Yeah, it would. Okay, I vaguely remember that.
And people would trip on it, and
asphalt.
It didn't look good, or it
too
was
flexible.
Huh?
It's asphalt's too flexible, and
this
temperature
was, and what's really the problem there is the steel underneath rusts, and when it rusts, it expands, and it pushes stuff up.
And there'd be water on the deck that would seep in.
People would wash the deck, right? And the water would get down in there, and then it would rust it and push it up. And that's what was wrong, and that's what's wrong today. It's still doing that. When we put that stuff down, and now there's rusts pushing up on it.
Tell me some of you were telling me earlier about some of the electrical projects. What are some of the other projects that you were involved with?
Well, if you look at the lights along here,
Yeah.
George Poulos and I. No, George was the House Committee Chairman
Okay.
for immediately preceding me. George and I did all these lights up here.
We're on
And
the upper deck, of course, and
yeah,
there's lights around the
around
house, this upper
this,
salon. And then fast forward, our ship has gone through issues with our yaw and yawl, with storms and surge and different winds. And you've been instrumental in two things. One, in applying the proper tension to our bow dock lines,
right.
and then two, doing it to the spring lines at the stern, and then you were involved big time with the new stern dock lines.
Right. Yes. Been involved in the mooring of the ship. Figured out, where the ship should be based upon where those were and where the ramps go and so forth, and tried to get an appropriate location for it.
I have to put in a word from someone who's been interested in the architecture of the Abigoite. If for some reason we had to disassemble the Abigoite and lay the pieces on the dock, there's one person here who could sit down and reassemble the Abigoite, and that's Woody. I frequently come up with questions that new members and visiting members ask us about the ship, and then I check with Woody, and I always get a good, thorough explanation. And the other thing is, no one that I'm aware of knows the drawings and our architectural specs as thoroughly.
No, that was one of the things I did. I spent a lot of time down in the archives going through the drawings and laying them out on the table and looking at them and figuring out whether those were drawings that we were interested. For instance, there's a whole bunch of electrical drawings down there. The electrical drawings don't mean a damn thing.
Because they're all DC?
Yeah, they're all the old the ship stuff, and if you look around, there's still some ships wiring in it, but none of that's active.
I have to add in one more note. I apologize for this because I spend so much time with Woody and I'm so admiring and what he knows about the ship. I've been giving tours of the ship and the engine room, and I've talked often about saddle tanks that are used to help adjust the ship and maybe give it a little bit of motion if it ever got stuck. But I really didn't know, I couldn't picture what was involved in it. And I've been a member now for a while. And just last week, Woody pointed out with a flashlight, there's port saddle tank, there's starboard saddle tank, or ballast tank,
Right.
and two in the bow. And he connected all the dots for me. And it was just so pleasant after all of these years for Woody, who knows the drawings virtually by heart,
No, that's
to
not
put some
quite true.
perspective in it. So, okay, the next question that I had in my script was, have you made a difference? And I'm not even going to ask you that question because yes, and yes.
I would hope I've made a difference.
Oh my God, all around the ship, there are many, many improvements invisible to our members. So let's go back. When we attached the new dock lines
Right.
to the ship,
Yes.
we had to have bollards installed on the ship.
Yes, right.
They were welded on. What held, you couldn't attach them to the shore. So what holds the ship steady?
The lines
from the ship
for the new bollards to the dolphins.
Okay, and the dolphins are in the harbor.
They're in the water.
And
they
they're
go down
to China.
Somebody knew how deep they were. I don't. It's like 100 feet or something.
Seriously, it's pretty far down.
Yeah, they drove them down.
Wow. Okay, so the ship is because of you and the House Committee, and certainly your contribution, the ship is not rocking as much. We still do rock, but not so much.
I think that's true, right?
Looking back on 20 plus years of initiatives and improvements, which one do you think you or the club would value the most?
Well, it's hard to guess at that, but I think that the work that we did with the mooring lines adjusting the lines and the equipment we bought for that, so to make it easier. I think that's important.
So the mooring lines require hundreds or thousands of pounds
No,
of
only 6,000 pounds.
only 6,000. I can do that.
Yes, right.
So how do you get that much muscle into the line?
It used to be that you used what they called a chain hoist, and it was a thing that is intended to hoist stuff up in the air.
Yeah.
But we used it horizontally, and they would pull until they got what they thought was maybe close to 6,000 pounds, but nobody ever knew because there was no measurement system. And so what we substituted for that was we've got electric hoist, electric winch,
Horizontal
winch.
Yeah.
That is basically a vehicle winch, and we can get 6,000 pounds with that. But in order to measure that, you had to have a device to take the measurement, and so we got that too. And now we can measure exactly what we want.
And because they're cloth or a soft line, they have to be retensioned on a regular basis?
No, but the water goes up and down.
Okay.
New lines have to be retention.
Okay.
Because new lines,
They stretch.
They'll stretch out. But once they've reached the normal amount of stretch, they don't stretch much any of them.
What are some of the changes? I mean, there's been improvements every January. People can come in and see, wow, they put in this new thing, or they fixed that. What are some of the changes that people don't see, aside from the dock lines and
changes people don't see?
that have happened that might be
significant. The fact that we
significant.
pumped oil out of down below. I mean, we had some. The ship as the ship ages, it develops rust and leaks.
Yeah.
Right? And some of these leaks allow the fuel smell or something like that to get away. If the tank develops an air leak, and the smell starts getting out into the ship, you need to do something.
Yeah.
And so I've been involved in pumping the oil out of the ship in those cases.
Okay.
And there generally isn't big amounts of oil, but it's smelly amounts.
And today, of our various tanks,
Yeah.
they're not empty, right? Of our
No.
various tanks, many of them
No.
have a substantial amount of water or old oil in them.
Yeah, and you got to remember oil floats on water. So if you have an oil tank and it's got mostly water in it, it's still got oil at the top.
Okay.
And that's one of the issues we have. But the tanks, we have fuel tanks, and we have ballast tanks, and then we have tanks for used oil and stuff like that.
Sure.
So they got to keep the tanks at the right level to keep the ship balanced. Both fore and aft and port and starboard.
Yeah.
So and at the right level in the water. So that's one of the things that I kind of focus on.
And you've been involved in adjusting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
I could take 17 tons of water, or 17 tons of anything, to tip the ship 1 inch.
seriously, 17
Yes.
tons
17
of a liquid to
17
tip
tons.
this ship 1 inch.
Or to raise the ship 1 inch.
Wow.
So,
That's an interesting statistic.
Yeah, right, yeah.
I want to move now on to, I know you're, I won't say a diehard racer, but you are a heavy duty racer.
I am.
You've
I have
been doing
raced, yes.
MAC races, you
Yes.
do Wednesday night races.
Yes.
Let's start, currently, your current boat is a J109?
It's J109 called Bloodline.
Bloodline?
And it's called Bloodline because it's
your
my,
family.
me, my 2 sons, and their kids that sail on it.
What did you sail on? What did you start with up to Bloodline?
Oh, well, the first, go way back? go way back.
Well,
So
we only
that
have another hour, so
first boat that I sailed, but I told you Bill was my roommate.
yes.
Bill and a buddy of his had bought a day sailor, an day sailor, that they didn't know how to sail, and I didn't know how to sail, and so we didn't sail together. I mean, we sailed together
Yeah.
and learned how to sail together, but that was up in the northern suburbs. And then the three of us became roommates down here in the city, and they still had the day sailor, but then the other roommate left. He got transferred, and so it was just Bill and I, and we decided that we wanted a bigger boat and bought a 23-foot ensign, and that's the boat that we started out with down
Okay.
in Harbor. And then we went from that to a Vanguard, which was a 32-footer, and then from the Vanguard we went to a CNC 36, and then from the CNC 36 we went to the J109.
What was the name of the CNC 36?
That was called Accord.
ACC Accord?
Accord. ACCORD.
And
Accord.
where'd that name come from?
That name came because we had misnamed our previous two boats. And I think I'm the one that came up with the Accord. But
Okay.
Bill was into names like Flying Cloud or
Something,
something
typical
like
boat
that.
name, yeah.
I thought Accord was an Accord. We bought the boat together we bought the boat in Accord. All right. So I thought Accord
Okay.
was,
Made sense.
Good name.
So I know that you've done the race to Mackinac Island.
Right.
Over 30 times?
No, 26.
Only 26.
Only 26.
A rookie.
Yes.
You're still an island goat.
I'm still an island.
So, do you remember the first trip? Or when what got you started?
The first trip was with Bill and I and some guys we picked up. This was an 80.
Okay.
And the boat that we were sailing on was a 78. Yeah. And that was Accord, and it was new in 78. And so we didn't do very well. We didn't know what the hell we were doing.
But you got there.
We got there. Yes.
Not everyone does.
Well, yeah, we got there.
Okay.
But we didn't do very well. And then the next year we did it again, and we did probably worse. We had some kids on board that shouldn't have been on board. And
so 26 times. Was there a moment that stands out, like an oh my God moment, or holy cow, or why did we do this silly thing, or?
Well, the moment you had something like that on that list, and but the moment that I remember best was, and I'm not sure what year it was. It was like 2003 or 6 or somewhere in the early 2000s. We were sailing on Accord, and I had my kids, and most of the crew were in their 20s, right? And they were all hot to get up there and win.
Okay.
And we were doing very nicely, and the wind was blowing like stink. We got up through Gray's Reef, and you go through Gray's Reef, and then you make a turn at the new 3 buoy, and you head for Mackinac.
Okay.
You're running down the straits there. And as we went around the new 3 buoy, one of the guys said, one of the stays was loose.
Okay, that's not good.
And so I said, "We'll go check it." And they checked that stay, and that stay was okay. I said, "Look at the other side," which was the one that was pulling. Right?
Yeah.
And the chain plate had raised about that far. And so I said, okay, drop the sails, we're done. You know. Now, with all these 20-year-olds, 20-some-year-olds,
Yeah.
they said, no, we can't do that.
They didn't
we
pay.
got to keep going.
They didn't pay for the boat.
So I said, all right, let's see how much sail we can carry before it starts stretching the chain plate again, because the chain plate had gone back
Sure.
when we dropped the sail. So we hoisted, I think we hoisted the main and rolled out a little bit of jib, and it held, and so we finished the race. And I don't remember that we placed or anything like that, but at least we finished the damn race, and everybody was happy.
Good. I'm glad. I'm glad you made it safely.
Yeah, but that
Wow.
was a kind of a crisis time.
Yeah. It is kind of an OMG moment.
Yes.
Now, after that harrowing experience, can you think of any funny times? Some laugh out loud, I can't believe we were so silly that we did that moments on a Mac race.
Oh boy.
Food that was served that wasn't cooked properly.
Oh, my wife would kill you if you asked
Sorry.
that question.
I'm very sorry, Betty. I didn't mean to ask that. Very sorry.
We used to carry a Hansmann, a casserole, a frozen. It started out being a frozen casserole, and it was called a Hansmann casserole.
Okay.
It was, and Betty made it, and she'd freeze it, and then we'd put it in the oven and heat it up. And sometimes it took a long time to get the thing thawed and heated.
Mm-hmm.
But we always ended up getting it thawed and heated.
Always a good time.
Yes. So
so you're sailing now with your family, with kids. How many years have you been doing that?
Oh,
just since
that's a great question. That's a great question, because after Bill and I did the first 80 and 81 Macs, and then we didn't do a Mac for a long time, and our kids grew up, and in '96, John, my oldest, said, we want to do the Mac. He'd been talking to some of the other kids, Bill's kids,
okay,
as well as my kids, and he said, we want to do the Mac. And I said, okay, if you get enough crew, Bill and I said that if you get enough crew, we'll do the Mac. And they gathered enough crew together,
okay,
kids, their friends, and the neighbors and stuff like that. So we had a crew, and so in '97 we did the first of the Macs with the kids.
Wow.
And we have done the Macs, every Mac since then.
That is so nice. What a legacy with your kids and everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
So, are any of your kids island goats as well?
This year, John will become an island goat.
Congratulations, John. Way to go.
Yeah. Right.
Wow.
And Will's close behind him, but Will missed a few of the races. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's an honor and it's a odd obligation. I mean, if you hit 23, you got to go 2 more.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, Will make it. I'm not. That's,
That's good. So, as a competitive racer, are there any lessons from racing that you brought back into life, into business or personal life?
Well, I don't know that it came from just from racing, but being prepared.
So you're sailing with family.
Yes.
Everyone on any decision always agree with each other. There was never any disagreement on deck, right?
Oh yeah, right.
What do you mean? So,
but there was very seldom complete agreement.
Okay. So the boys and their dad, they kind of came to a.
Well, I didn't have many problems with the boys.
Okay.
But the other side of it is, if one of them wants to do something and it makes sense, they do it. So, uh, and I don't think the two of them argued much. We pretty much kind
That's
of
that's
talk things
wonderful.
through and come to a consensus.
That's
Uh,
wonderful. What a treasured time.
yeah, the only time that I really remember putting my foot down and saying this that was when we went around the thing and lost our and I lost on that one.
Was there ever a time when one of the sons said, "Dad, tack now," and you said, "No, not just yet"? Dad, tack now. No, no, we're not ready. Was there any ever one of those times?
Oh well, yeah, but it might have been the other way around. I might have said tack now, and the kid said no.
Oh,
But quite honestly, my kids are better sailors than I am.
okay.
So,
They'll be glad to hear that.
and I am, and that pleases the hell out of me.
Well,
Tell you
they're
the truth.
chips off the old Woody block.
Yeah, right.
Okay, I didn't just say that.
And my daughter Katie, who
Oh,
is out east and doesn't get to do the Mac with us, is another great sailor.
did she do any Macs with you?
Oh yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry I missed that.
Yeah,
So
she did that. And
how many Macs does
she was the foredeck.
Wow. So how many Macs does she have under her belt?
I can't answer that. I'd have to ask her.
Any temptation for her to come back this year or next year and join you guys?
She's got a big job, and she's
Okay.
got a daughter that is 12 and needs
Okay.
her, and she's got a husband that's a sailmaker, and
Oh, wow.
yeah,
All in the family.
us all. In the family.
That's one. So you get good pricing on sales.
Actually, we do. We get family, friends and family pricing.
That's good.
Which at least he says it's friends and family. I have no idea whether it's good pricing or not. It's the price I have to pay because I have him as he is my
That's
sailmaker,
wonderful.
my son-in-law, and
You are a diehard beer can racer.
I am a diehard.
How does Bloodline do in the beer can?
Well, that Bloodline is currently in third place in the spin 2, which it doesn't please me, but we'll keep moving up. But the competition's great.
You're on the podium. Well, yeah, that we know that from
Yeah,
see
right.
some of these other members.
Yeah.
Some great sailors here at the club.
Yes.
What role does friendships and camaraderie at the club play with your membership here, with your being here?
Oh, I think it's that's a very important thing because both Betty and I have friends that we've developed here, and we come down and get together frequently for a Friday or Saturday night dinner.
Wonderful. If you can relive one race event, so we're talking about reliving a race event. Wow, that was great. I wouldn't mind doing that again. Of course, finishing on the podium.
Now, okay, let me talk about some things that weren't associated with Columbia.
Okay.
Because I've got some other sailing events that I did. Because I used to sail on the Caribbean 1500,
Right.
which went from Hampton, Virginia, down to Tortola,
Yeah.
and then came back, and it was for the people who wanted to take their boats down to the islands for the winter
Okay.
and bring them back for the summer. And they never had enough crew, and so that I was one of the volunteer crew kind of people, and I had great times doing that.
I recall not more than 4 or 5 years ago you crossed the Atlantic.
And then that had led to that, all right, because the guy on the first 1500 that I did, the other crew member, Carl Luby, became a good friend, and when he was retired, he went to Spain. He didn't go to Spain. He went looking for a boat, and he found one in Spain, and he bought it, and it was a steel hull, 45-foot North Sea ship boat.
A strong blue water boat.
Very, very strong, yes. So he bought that, and then he needed to bring it back to the States. So he called me, and I said, sure. And he called another friend of his who's a South African, and he said, sure. So the three of us sailed the
What?
boat back.
How many times have you done the Atlantic?
Oh,
Going across.
no, just once, just that
Okay.
one time.
So you're talking to a sailor. You meet up with a sailor in Tortola.
Yeah.
And he says, "Oh, you sail on that big puddle called Lake Michigan?"
Yeah.
How would you explain to a ocean sailor what it's like sailing on Lake Michigan? How would you compare the two experiences?
Well, in ocean sailing, when you get a storm, you get these big waves. And they're long waves,
Yeah.
but they're just long waves.
And you go up?
You look up and you see the top, but the boat goes up and down, right?
Yeah.
And here you get this chop, right? And so it's much more difficult to deal with the chop here
Mm-hmm.
than it is to deal with the big swells on the ocean.
So Lake Michigan is
Michigan is
challenging.
Is a challenge, and the ocean sailing is a challenge if you happen to be anywhere near a hurricane. But
I would imagine so. So, does Columbia Yacht Club still deliver on your decision to become a member
oh, I think it does.
after all of these years?
Yeah, but that's because we developed friendships and all that, and it would be difficult to lose all of that. So yeah,
It's like a
it's not the same, but it's still meets our needs.
You come in the door and you feel welcome.
Oh, well, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I guess there's another thing that we haven't talked about, and that's the fact that the crew knows me, And a lot of people go in the bar, and the crew knows them in the bar.
Mm-hmm.
But I go out and where they're doing the maintenance, and the crew knows me out there.
I'll tell you that could be another video that I'm not sure how we would come up with it. Note to self, but to do a video with some of our staff, because we have the finest staff of any organization right here in this ship.
Yeah.
I agree with
Yeah.
you.